The Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT5 Challenge arrives here at Snetterton in Norfolk for its midway point in the season. Will Burns has had a run of form lately and he leads the way from Brad Bailey and Luke Davenport. Young charger Oliver Basie-Fisher made it to the podium last time out at Silverstone for his first ever race win. Now, most of the competitors here commute anything up to 300 miles to the circuit, but one guy puts all that into perspective. Meet Thiago Calvet.
So, yeah, I choose to race here because the opportunities for me here are better. In Brazil, we miss a race like between the karting and stock car, which is the top there, so we don't have the middle. So for me to travel here, the series is great and very competitive, very nice tracks, very professional teams, and for me it's very good to race, and even traveling 12 hours each race from Brazil to UK. Most of the rounds I come back and forward. I fly, so I leave work on Tuesday, fly to UK, arrive on Wednesday, and next Monday after the race I catch the flight to. It's a lot of work, but I mean it's worth regarding the series and stuff.
You must love your motorsport. That's a lot of dedication.
Yes, definitely love, and I mean that's my dream, So you have to follow your dreams, right? So.
Well, let's see if Thiago's journey has been worthwhile. Here's David Addison.
With 3 races here at Snetterton this weekend, there are ample points on offer to help Thiago Calvet move up through the championship table. But arriving in Norfolk, the man in charge is Will Burns. He heads Brad Bailey and Luke Davenport in the G40 contest. Former champion Stuart Pearson leads the G20s from Brian Murphy and Johnny Greenwood. Race 2 coming up in a moment, but race 1 had a dramatic start. Will Burns lost it at the first corner, got done head-on by Gary Sims in the G20 until McElroy went off with them. More drama going into the Montreal hairpin. The next spinner was Will Moore. Luke Davenport was hard at work and gained a place from Clive Richards, who ran wide. Up front, though, David Pittard was working his way through to the front. It was a fairly fierce fight because he had to contend with former champion Mark Davies as well in the white car, returning to the championship, and Jake Giddings making an impressive debut. In the G20 category, it was about that man Stuart Pearson again after Gary Sims' early retirement, and he was being chased hard by Brian Murphy. Up front, it was Pittard ahead of Giddings in the TCR-entered car as Davies got it all wrong and got a tap in the tail for his pains. The Silverstone winner, Oliver Basie-Fisher. Up to the checkered flag, David Pittard came through for a second win of the season, but only just 79 thousandths of a second, his winning margin. The result, Pittard ahead of Giddings with Brad Bailey third, Oliver Basie-Fisher fourth. Stuart Pearson took G20 honours once again from Brian Murphy. Round 11 of the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT5 Challenge about to get underway. Mark Davies on pole position, normally to be found these days in the Ginetta GT Super Cup, but it's good to have the former champion in the Ginetta Challenge this weekend. But here is the opposition. David Pittard, Silverstone winner here earlier this weekend as well. The second row of the grid, Thiago Calvet lining up alongside Clive Richards. It's going to be fascinating to see how Calvet gets on, as also Clive Richards, very successful Caterham racer, but that success has never really translated across into Ginettas. That might well change today. The grid is formed then. 5-second board is shown. Engine notes will start to rise in a moment once the lights go to red, and now we'll see who is going to make the best start. You see Will Burns, number 14, with the different coloured front after his accident in race 1. Away they go. Bit of wheel spin from Clive Richards. Good start by the G20s. Gary Sims making good progress as they charge their way up towards the right-hander of Richards for the first time. David Pittard just with his nose in front. Will Burns on the very outside in the white bonneted car. But Mark Davies leads as they go through Richards for the first time. On board now with Luke Davenport. Oliver Basie-Fisher ahead of him. Callum Poynton up ahead as well. And Will Burns goes very, very late on the brakes going into Montreal hairpin. Doesn't actually gain out of all of that. Gary Sims gets in a bit of strife. He's not the only one in that as well, running out of road. on board with Matt Flowers as the cars work their way down towards turn 3 through the fast left-hander, out of which Mark Davis turns as the race leader, with David Pittard going after him. Jake Giddings goes through in number 70, and he's squabbling at the moment with Stuart Pearson, the man that leads the G20 category. To Agostini they come for the first time, and it's Mark Davis leading the way, but only just. David Pittard now looking for a way through on the inside. Had a spin coming out of the corner, that's Callum Poynton, who's gone right the way around. Callum Poynton spins, he should be able to rejoin from that, but he's losing a handful of places. This is Martin de Spong's view, his G20, snapping at the heels of some of the G40s here. Stefan Romecki is the man just up ahead of him, new to the championship, so heading on to Bentley Straight for the first time. The race leader is David Pittard, but only just. Gary Sims in number 15, right on the tail of Stuart Pearson here. The two of them set for a good duel, and ahead Jake Giddings goes off, demolishes the marker boards, and there was somebody else involved in all of that as well. You're on board with Matt Flowers. Brian Murphy just ahead to the right in the red G20. He's going to try to make a move on him. Diving down through the gears, going into the old S's. Rundle and Nelson, as it now is called, that sequence of corners, and up towards Bomb Hole for the first time. There's Stuart Pearson then, heading the G20 brigade at the moment. It's a replay of Luke Davenport's opening lap. Callum Poynton ahead of him, turns in. Bit of contact between Poynton and Basie Fisher. Davenport, winner at Alton Park, scoots around the outside, picks up another place. Drama in the G20 brigade. That is at the Montreal hairpin, and there is mayhem, because with damaged bodywork is Johnny Greenwood. He limps away from the scene. The leaders come down towards Agostini. It is Pittard ahead, but Will Burns makes a move up on the inside of him. There's a bit of leaning. Pittard gets muscled out wide. And this, a replay of what happened for Johnny Greenwood. Going past him in a straight line is Nick Zapolsky. Zapolsky in the Reflex racing car goes round the outside, going through Riches, which was a brave effort. Martin de Spong bounces off the road, gets back on again. And then heading up to the Montreal hairpin, Greenwood brakes late and bang, right into the tail of Zapolsky, turns him round, hits him again to get him out of the way. Backwards off the road as well, one of the G40s there in trouble. And eventually, with not much front left, Johnny Greenwood sheds bodywork and carries on his way. David Pittard just ahead as they come then through the S's, but Will Burns tries to make the move on him, and he gets the inside line now for Bomb Hole. Mark Davis right there as well. Contact, Davis hits the back, muscles Burns through the bomb hole, gives him a bit of a hurry up there, and Brad Bailey in the orange car is getting closer and closer and closer now. They come through Coram, they head down towards Murray's then at the end of the lap, and just up ahead at the moment is Will Burns, but isn't going to stay that way. Burns has had more wins than anybody else in the championship this year. He's taken 4 of them. Mark Davis returning to the series in 3rd place, right on the back of David Pittard as they work their way now over the timing line. Brad Bailey, the former junior rallycross champion there, looking the orange car with the checkered roof, becoming ever more of a threat as he tries to go one side and then the other of Mark Davis, diving down towards Riches. Can't find a way through there, though. Brad Bailey, a little bit delayed, possibly coming out of the corner. Thiago Calvert makes a move up on the outside line. Clive Richards is there as well. Davis almost outbrakes himself at Montreal. Through the hairpin, Calvert doesn't gain out of all of that. In fact, Richards gets ahead of him. Brad Bailey manages to hang on to the place and lower down the order. Jake Giddings has got Gary Sims for company, and Sims has put himself now, despite all the tank tape on the front of the car, up into the lead of the G20 class. The G40s working their way once again down towards Agostini. Will Burns is the man in charge, but David Pittard is under real pressure from almost everybody else in the race now. Richards up on the inside of Calvert. He's gained a place there, and we're on board with Luke Davenport, who is next in the queue. Luke Davenport looks to the outside line then as they work their way through the infield part of Snetterton, the new 300 loop introduced a couple of years ago. And Davenport makes his move against the Brazilian travel agent, and through he goes. In the G20s, Gary Sims' tank tape special still leads the way. It's a shame we don't see Gary doing a full season. Whenever you put him in a Ginetta, he goes rapidly. And the marker boards are still being monstered. Who was that having a go at them? Might have been Will Burns going down Bentley Straight. It was! Race leader has thrown it away. Will Burns off the road, and that changes the order straight away. David Pittard now is the leader. Mark Davis goes second. And Will Burns, by the time he's bounced his way back onto the circuit, drops back behind the former Lotus racer Ben Highland. Through the bomb hole they go. So Will Burns now has left himself with a lot of work to do. It's a 20-minute race. The way things are going, they might squeeze 9, maybe even 10 laps out of it. That's the replay of how Burns came to grief. The back stepped out as he came onto the Bentley straight. Cannons his way over the grass, bounces back onto the circuit. Load of places lost as now Brad Bailey goes for the inside. That gives him second, going into Agostini. Good move up on the inside of Mark Davis, so the change of second spot has happened, and all of that helps David Pittard. If they can carry on squabbling, he'll get away and build up the lead. Pearson attacking Sims for the G20 leadership. He's got the inside line going round Riches, but Gary Sims just about hangs on to it. There's a dust storm ahead as Mark Despong has now got the recovering Nick Zapolsky right on his tail. The G20 is proving to be a really good entry-level car in the championship for the rookies. You're on board with Despong going into Riches, but Zapolsky pounces and goes up the inside of him. Mark Despong drops it down a gear, but David Pittard has got an advantage. You can see it now. Brad Bailey, though, second, has got Davis and Burns and Basie Fisher and Davenport all queued up behind him. And this is going to get out of the last corner of the last lap. Any one of those 5 could be second. Brad Bailey, who took 2 race wins at Alton Park, leads the way here. Can he hang on to that second place as up the inside goes Davenport, and that puts him ahead of Oliver Basie Fisher now. Bit of contact between the two as they come towards Williams onto the Bentley straight, and Davenport loses out in the end. He's going to slip back in behind Basie Fisher. In the G20s, meantime, as Zapolsky having a go to get back ahead of Despong, and it ends in contact, and Mark Despong goes left and right and all the way round. Off the road he goes. A little bit of help, I think, did that to him. And now he's trying to recover from a big, big lose. He's on the road again, but he's going to be right at the tail end of the field now. Brad Bailey heads down towards the end of the lap. He can't catch David Pittard, I don't think, before the end, but what he needs to do now is hang on to second place. The cars accelerate their way up towards the checkered flag. It looks as though David Pittard is going to be on for a second win of the season. He's got Brad Bailey hunting him down, but checkered flag is ready this time. David Pittard takes the win. Bailey second, and Mark Davis just hangs on to third place, and David Pittard absolutely delighted. Across the line together there, look, Gary Duckman just staying ahead of Thiago Calvert for 9th and 10th places, and Gary Sims is going to win the G20 class, making his way up towards the line. The man from North Wales, Gary Sims, then, despite his accident in the first race, is a delighted class winner, comes over the line. He defeats the former champion, Stuart Pearson, and you can see Gary Sims absolutely delighted, and so too is David Pittard. He had one of his Silverstone wins disallowed, remember, for contravening Parc Fermé regulations, but here, no problems. He's 7/10 of a second ahead of Brad Bailey. Mark Davis third ahead of Will Burns fourth. The drivers make their way to the podium. David Pittard on the top step.
It was pretty tough out there, probably one of the toughest races I think I've ever had. I don't think we quite had the pace to win the outright pace, but I can outrace anyone on this grid, so to keep them all behind me like that was great. And to have a little bit of breathing space in that last lap certainly made it a lot easier.
Great credit to these guys who were certainly driving on the limit, you know, thanks to the team, you know, Optimum Motorsport rang me up a couple of weeks ago and said, we've got a spare car, do you fancy an outing at Snetterton? And, you know, the run from Invisible Glasses sort of paid for a set of tyres this weekend, so, you know, I can't turn it down really, can I?
Brad, I thought that was touch and go in the end. You could have had him, couldn't you?
Yeah, it was close, but it's difficult when you're trying to attack and defend at the same time. Mark was pretty close, so every time I tried something, I nearly lost a position to him as well.
It's a proper race, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good, yeah, and we've got a good position for the next one, so it should be even better.
And in the G20 class, a top job done by Gary Sims, a very well-deserved and hard-fought class win.
Stuart was fantastic. He pushed me wheel to wheel all the way. Ginettas are just fantastic racing. I love the G20. You just can't get away from anyone once they're in your slipstream toe. There's just no moving them. But we didn't have a good race yesterday. We had an unfortunate start to race one, which put us out of the race. And I just want to say thanks to Reflex Racing because they've worked really hard on repairing the car. And I was absolutely determined to go out today and to give them something to pay off for all that hard work. I just want to say happy Father's Day to my dad as well. This one's for him. He can't be here today, but I wish he was. That would have been nice.
Style someday. Let us entertain you at Butlins with a 3-night weekend break from just £69 a person. Book now at butlins.com or call 0800 222 555.
Sophia, we're on our own.
Does that mean?
The stirring sauce coats the pasta all over.
Perfect partners, just like us.
It's a nights like this.
After food like this.
With nobody home.
Oh, Carl.
We're home. Dolmio's dirty.
When's your Dolmio day?
Right across the land, every home can now enjoy a spectacular summer deal from TalkTalk. Totally unlimited broadband, plus unlimited evening and weekend calls. Free for 6 whole months. You'll also get our award-winning online security HomeSafe that's designed to help keep the kids safe online. Switching is easy. Just make one call and we'll do the rest. Then you'll enjoy totally unlimited broadband and calls free for 6 months, plus a £30 credit to welcome you. All you pay is £14.95 monthly line rental. Welcome to a great deal, Great Britain. Hurry, visit talktalk.co.uk before the 24th of July or call 0800 990 3637. TalkTalk, a brighter home for everyone.
There are problems in every toilet. Germs, odour, dirt and limescale. That's why Domestos has assembled their best team. Extended Germ Kill kills germs. Germ Blaster fights odours. And Total Blast destroys dirt and limescale. The Domestos Heroes. The Toilet Protection Team.
Get a shiny new Samsung Galaxy Ace with all the internet you'll ever need for just £16 a month. It's the Android-powered smartphone that's great for gamers and searchers and tweeters and social networkers and loads of other apps. And you get 5,000 texts, 100 minutes and a 5-megapixel camera and touchscreen. All on the network built for the internet. Get yours now. Call 0800 358 9084, search online for 3 or visit a 3 store.
MAN, Renault, Freightliner, Jochen Hahn, Antonio Albacete or Mika Mäkinen. The FIA European Truck Championship keeps on blasting on Motors TV. Monday, June the 24th at 8:30 p.m. All the action, all the intensity of the iRacing Series V8 Supercars Championship in the USA. Because sometimes being digital is better than being real. Tuesday, June the 25th, 6:55 p.m. Round 3 of the British Cross Country Championship from Forest Lodge. Wednesday, June the 26th, 7:25 p.m. Don't miss it.
Welcome back to Snetterton for the third race, round 12 of the challenge, and as you can see, David Pittard here is the man on pole, very much the man to beat. But can anyone do it? Let's join David Addison to find out.
Well, David Pittard has had a fantastic weekend, hasn't he? He's won both races thus far, and as Andy rightly says, he is the man in form. But now for the showdown. Race 3 of the weekend about to get underway. Engine notes rise, the lights in a moment will go red. David Pittard needs to convert pole position into a good start. Bit of creeping from 1 or 2. They blast away. It's a narrow pit straight at Snetterton, and therefore a good start by everybody. Essential to avoid drama on the run to turn 1. Clive Richards gets past Luke Davenport, but Brad Bailey has made the best start on the outside line. He can't hang on to the line though, and off the road has gone 2 cars, Gary Sims being one of them. There was another G40 that was on the grass. David Pittard fights back, coming out of Richards. He takes the lead from Brad Bailey, and Will Burns comes right round the outside, and Davenport tries to do likewise. Pittard trying to defend from Burns. He's got Bailey snapping at his heels as well. Up through the gears they go for the first time. They're bare left now. David Pittard leading the way. Burns goes second, does he? Yes, he does. Bailey third. Davenport fourth. Clive Richards fifth. Ben Highland is in sixth. and Stuart Pearson heads the G20s at the moment. Up front then, David Pittard is trying to make good his escape once again, but Will Burns is right there behind him. Luke Davenport now up into third place. Brad Bailey fourth as everybody files their way through Agostini on this opening lap. With Johnny Wood, he's had the front of the car repaired after his race 2 accident. Andrew Marshall was ahead. Gary Sims is now ahead because Sims goes through. Burns attacks Pittard for the race lead and goes by. Dives up the inside line, moves his way through as Brad Bailey goes a little bit wide. Luke Davenport now challenging for second and for the lead. Really bold effort that as they go to Bentley Straight for the first time. Burns leads the way. Luke Davenport is right on his case now. Fourth up to fifth. David Pittard gets a toe and grabs a place away from him. Now sixth. You're on board with Luke Davenport coming down towards Brundle and Nelson. Down through the gears. Luke Davenport then losing one place to Pittard and he's about to lose another. Up the inside goes Brad Bailey and Bailey goes by as well. Clive Richards wants to slice that, he goes through, and the white car and Mark Davis for the inside line. Luke Davenport's been mugged good and proper. He was second as they hit the Bentley Straight, he's sixth as they go through the bomb hole. It don't matter, becomes seventh. He was under attack on the left-hand side then, going through Coram, and he's sawing away at the wheel. Up front then, Will Burns leads the way. It's a shorter race than race 2, it's only a 15-minute race. And off the road has gone Mark de Spong, that was coming out of Coram. It's not been an easy weekend for Mark, but he's back in the race. Grabs a gear, takes his rather battle-scarred G20 down to the end of the lap. In the meantime, Burns versus Pittard for the lead. David Pittard goes through, brakes late. On something of a Snetterton Meister this weekend, puts himself back into the lead. Replay of the start on board with Johnny Greenwood. Let's try and piece together what happens ahead of him. There's a slow starting Andrew Marshall to the left. And then we saw Gary Sims getting embroiled in fun and games. There was a G40. Oh, that's how the G40 got on the grass, because it was turned round completely. Stefan Romecki, the driver, and he just got bottled out of the way by the pack. And then going through Richie's, Gary Sims, yellow G20, and also Tor McElroy in the blue and white G40 on the grass. Bits of bodywork fly at Johnny Greenwood. Now, this is Mark de Spong in replay, chasing down Nick Zapolsky, loses the back of the car, really tries to fight it, but eventually round it goes. Everybody scatters in avoidance left and right, and Mark de Spong, having another spin this weekend, does indeed rejoin, albeit some time lost. Up front, David Pittard is leading the way, and Will Burns looks for the inside and hits him up the back and turns him around, going into Agostini. That was a brutal hit. Pittard off the road, and people come flooding past him. Will Burns tried, I think in fairness, to go from one side to the other and completely misjudged how close he was, plus David Pittard's braking point, and hit him up the back. But either way, you can see the damage, the witness marks on the front of Will Burns. He leads the way. I suspect the officials may want a word about that, because that was a fairly big whack in the back of David Pittard's car. Let's have another look at it. Down they come towards Agostini. Pittard defends the inside line. Burns switches side, but bang! I think he does. Pittard off the ground. That was a really big hit, intentional or not. Ruined David Pittard's race. He's got Will Burns the lead, and there was there as Pittard came across the road. Well, if David Pittard's car can survive that, let's see if he can gain any points before. Will Burns leading, Brad Bailey second, Luke Davenport third. We'll have a look back and see where the recovering David Pittard is, if at all. He will not be a happy man, that's for certain. David Pittard is... Harry Duckman getting it wrong at the bowl. So David Pittard trying to work his way back into... Now making his way up towards the timing line. Behind him is Bailey, and then Mark Davis third as Duckman joins. Former 92 champion, coming into Ginetta's this year. In the meantime, Will Burns, looking for win number 5 of the season, leads the way. And this is what happened to Gary Duckman. Then he comes out of the S's, up towards the bomb hole. Jake Giddings goes to the inside, and there's no contact. Duckman just loses it. Round it goes, bounces all over the grass. He's able to rejoin, albeit with a handful of places dropped. Stuart Pearson leads the G20 class. It's not really a scoop to say this because he's won it so often this year, but because of Gary Sims' delay on the opening lap, Stuart Pearson is comfortably ahead. As meantime, Luke Davenport has now got Oliver Basey-Fisher, who took a win at Silverstone, don't forget, on the Grand Prix circuit, right up behind him. And then it's Mark Davis. This is for now 3rd, 4th, 5th as they work their way down towards Coram. And Luke Davenport is making the rather Scandinavian car, blue and yellow colours, very wide indeed. Oliver Basey-Fisher is right there behind him though. Is he going to be able to make a move at the end of the lap? He's not. So they turn through the left-hander, up now towards the timing line, and Will Burns is about to make his way through and take victory on the road. At any rate, the checkered flag is ready for him. It's win number 5 of the season for Will Burns. Luke Davenport chases Brad Bailey home, 2nd and 3rd they are, and still they pour over the line. Clive Richards just takes 6th place ahead of Ben Hyland. And Stuart Pearson is on target for honours in the G20 brigade yet again. Stuart Pearson continues to have such a stellar season. Very much the master of these cars. Stuart Pearson comes home the class winner. And Gary Sims is 3rd on the back of Brian Murphy, but he could be 2nd. Heading up to the line, look, they're absolutely side by side, and Gary Sims just gets the jump on him. Coming over the line, a good toe helps Gary Sims come over the line just ahead. Will Burns out of the car, slightly brutal driving, he comes home a race winner.
I was fighting with Pittard and we had a good battle going into Agostini, was it? But he seemed to have locked up and he was braking really early, and I don't know what happened, but I tried to swerve out of the way and I just ended up accidentally tapping him just on the left side. But I'm pretty sure he's going to be disputing that, but we'll have to see with the clerk of the course where that goes. I didn't intend to do it, so I'm sorry to him.
The clerk of the course was not impressed and gave Will Burns a 10-second penalty for driving in a manner not compatible with general safety. It means Brad Bailey takes the race win, Will Burns drops to 8th. And how does that change things in the championship? Well, Brad Bailey is the leader, David Pittard runs 2nd, Luke Davenport then is 3rd, Will Burns 4th ahead of Oliver Basey-Fisher and Clive Richards. But in the G20s, yet another victory for Stuart Pearson.
I thought I was a little bit unlucky in race 2, but I'm trying to play the long game and think about the championship, so I never like to settle for 2nd, but sometimes you've got to do it. But that race there, the last one, was absolutely fantastic, yeah.
And it means that Stuart Pearson's advantage in the G20 part of the championship continues to grow. Brian Murphy 2nd ahead of Mark Despong, then it's Johnny Greenwood, David Patterson and Nick Zapolsky in 6th.
Well, from the flatlands of Norfolk, we move on to the sweeping, majestic Spa circuit in Belgium. It's going to be awesome. We'll see you there.